All right, Rich Van Tassel back with you, giving you our final game pick or game recap of Week 10 of the NFL season. Of course, you got the Sunday night game, but these are all the earlier games. I'm actually doing this one on my computer because it uploads faster, so I'm looking at my phone. The Miami Dolphins going on the road, getting the win over the San Diego Chargers, 31 to 24. Ryan Tannehill for the Dolphins, good game today. Got to give him some credit. 17 of 24, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jay Ajayi, 19 carries, 79 yards, 4.2 yards per rush. Ryan Tannehill, 3 of 16, 5.3. The team altogether 25 of 106, 4.2 yards a rush, and 1 touchdown that came from Williams. Devontae Parker, 5 receptions, 103 yards. Jarvis Landry, 6 for 53. Kenny Stills, 2 for 47. Damian Williams, 1 for 18. Both Stills and Williams had the touchdowns. Jermon Bushrod recovered a fumble. Grant fumbled twice, lost one of them, recovered one. Ryan Tannehill fumbled, it was not lost. 3 sacks for the Dolphins. One of them was split. Lippett, Kiko Alonso, and Byron Maxwell had interceptions. Lippett had 2 of them. And Andrew Franks 1 for 1 in his field goals for the San Diego Chargers. Phillip Rivers 23 of 44, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Not going to get the job done there. Melvin Gordon 24 carries, 70 yards, 2.9 yards per rush. He was the only guy who carried in this game. Williams 5 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown. Antonio Gates 4 receptions, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Melvin Gordon 5 for 62. Stuckey recovered a fumble. They had 1 sack. It came from Melvin Ingram. Nothing of note in the return games. Josh Lambo 1 for 1 in his field goals. So, Miami getting their first win on the road. They moved to above 500. Certainly keeping pace in that wild card. That's something to keep an eye on. Tannehill efficient. They had to go west to get the win. Very impressive in that regard. Give them tons of credit. They really weathered the storm. I thought Miami was going to be bad this year. They're starting to prove me wrong. So hats off to them. For San Diego, tough loss. Again, I wasn't expecting much from them. Way too many turnovers, obviously, from Phillip Rivers today. The Arizona Cardinals had to have this one. It was tight for a little bit. They get the win over the San Francisco 49ers 23 to 20. San Francisco has now dropped 8 straight. Arizona at 500 with a tie. Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers, 17 of 30, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He was the top rusher, Kaepernick, that is, 10 for 55, 5.5 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Dwan Harris, 5 for 14, 2.8. Carlos Hyde, 13 of 14. So altogether, the team was 28 of 83, and the touchdown by Kaepernick. And they threw the ball 30 times, ran it 28, so they were at least consistent in that regard. I didn't see the game, obviously. I don't know if they were passing when they should be running and running when they should be passing, though. Jeremy Curley, the top receiver, 7 receptions, 71 yards, a touchdown. Quentin Patton, 3 for 52. Vance McDonald, 4 for 50. Antoine Bethea and DeForest Buckner recovered fumbles. Jeremy Curley lost a fumble. They had 2 sacks. Buckner had one of them. Harold had the other. Eric Reed had an interception, so did Hodges. Nothing of note in the return games. Phil Dawson, 2 for 2 in his field goal attempts. For the Cardinals, Carson Palmer, 30 of 49, 376 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. David Johnson, 19 carries, 55 yards, 2.9 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Carson Palmer had a 16-yard rush. John Brown had a 10-yard rush. The team altogether 23 of 80, 3.5 yards per rush. But if you take out those 2 rushes, one by Palmer, one by Brown, that went for 26 yards each. That's a 13-yard per rush average just there. Then the numbers clearly come down a lot more. So really, Arizona did not run the ball well. Larry Fitzgerald, big day in the air, 12 receptions, 133 yards. Michael Floyd, 5 for 101. David Johnson, 5 for 46. He had the only touchdown. Martin recovered a fumble. Carson Palmer lost a fumble. J.J. Nelson also lost a fumble. They had 3 sacks. One of them by Calais Campbell, the other 2 by Chandler Jones. No interceptions. Nothing of note in the return games. Chandler Cantazzaro 3 for 3 in his field goals. San Francisco, they were game. I expected it in this one. I'm really not surprised that they came out like we discussed in the previews of this game. When you lose that many games in a row, not at the end of the season, you still have enough games left where you just don't want to get the shit kicked out of you for the next 8 games, for lack of a better term. If there were 2 games left, you'd expect San Francisco to roll over. Not quite yet, though, so give them credit in that regard. But Arizona, hey, they got the win. They had to have it. But they really need to figure out a running game, and they need to figure it out fast. And just all-around consistency for the Arizona Cardinals is very, very important in this one. Just trying to see anything that I have missed. Not up to this point. And our last game, of course, I guess I'll save the best for last. Kind of wanted to do this first. And it's funny, I'm actually wearing a Pirates t-shirt, a Pirates sweatshirt as I do this one, even though I'm a Cowboy fan. They get the win in a wild game, 35-30 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cowboys winners of 8 straight. They have not lost a road game. And the Pittsburgh Steelers now fall under 500. They've lost 4 straight games. Dak Prescott, 22 of 32, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Ezekiel Elliott, 21 carries, 114 yards, 5.4 yards per rush, 2 touchdowns. Both those touchdowns came late. We will discuss them. Des Bryant, 6 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott, 2 receptions for 95 yards. He had an 83-yard touchdown on a screen pass, so those are what buoys the numbers. Jason Witten, 6 for 59. He had some big receptions in this game. Cole Beasley, a few drops, 5 for 33. Dak Prescott lost a fumble early in the game. It led to 7 points for the Steelers. Only 1 sack was DeMarcus Lawrence. No interceptions, though Carr did have one on a 2-point conversion. I think you should start counting those interceptions if you're going to allow for points to be had the other way. I don't see why that doesn't count as an interception, or an interception either way, even if it was, the previous rule where you couldn't return them for touchdowns. Doesn't make much sense to me, but hey, whatever. Dan Bailey, 3 for 3 in his field goals. For the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, 37 of 46, 408 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. One of those touchdowns came on a fake spike play. He was gashing the Cowboys this game. Le'Veon Bell, 17 carries, 57 yards. That's a 3.4 yards per rush. He had a touchdown. Ben Roethlisberger had a 1-yard rush. Antonio Brown had a negative 10-yard rush. So 19 of 48, 2.5 yards per rush. Antonio Brown, top receiver, 14 for 154, 1 touchdown. A lot of those numbers came on the last play. The Cowboys just let him run up the field after he caught it, but he was having a good game. I'm not taking anything away from Antonio Brown, just giving it to you in that regard. And we'll get into that a little later. Le'Veon Bell, 9 receptions, 77 yards. He also had a touchdown. Eli Rogers, 4 for 42. He had a touchdown. Ryan Shazier recovered the fumble. Le'Veon Bell fumbled. It was not lost. They had 2 sacks, one from Chickillo, the other from Tuitt. No interceptions. Antonio Brown had a 22-yard punt return. Lucky Whitehead also had, I believe, was a 29-yard return. Forgot to mention that. Chris Boswell, 2 for 3 in his field goals. That missed field goal, obviously big. Some things, well, we'll get into, the basis of the game on this one. Obviously, the Cowboys were down in the secondary. You already were in the game without Morris Claiborne. You didn't have Barry Church. Orlando Scandrick went down. They had, what was his name, Lee McFadden? I mean, you might have been going to Darren McFadden pretty soon in the secondary. He was drawing a lot of Antonio Brown. I'm surprised they didn't put Carr on him. Carr, actually, I thought had a strong game in this one. Anthony Brown, not Antonio Brown, Anthony Brown of the Cowboys, the cornerback, was on him a lot. They were leaving the rookie to hang out to dry. I've liked Anthony Brown, that is, all season long. For a 6th-round pick, I certainly thought he held his own, but give the Cowboys credit because their defense was really compromised to a great extent in this one, and they were able to come away with it. For Pittsburgh, they were playing well offensively. We'll get into the missed points in just a minute. Cowboys committed a lot of penalties. That was allowing the Steelers to extend drives, get big plays down the field, and all that good stuff. But, at the end of the day, what really killed the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one was they didn't get the stops when they needed it. The Cowboys got first downs when they have to have it. Now, there was a play, it was before all the craziness at the end. The Cowboys got to the 2-minute warning. Pittsburgh had 2 timeouts left. Cowboys had a first down. And I'm assuming Pittsburgh let them score. That's certainly what it looked like. Ezekiel Elliott went right in for a touchdown. Now, people would say, oh, that's a mistake. I'm sure Stephen A. Smith would say that's the accident waiting to happen. No, I like the guy taking the touchdown all the time. You can disagree with me or not. I'd rather get the points. Pittsburgh came back down the field and scored, obviously, and then the Cowboys finished it up with the Ezekiel Elliott touchdown. Now, the points that were left on the board, Pittsburgh went for two two-point conversions early. They missed on the first touchdown of the game. They did it. Obviously, Mike Tomlin has done that before. I believe he was looking for some motivation. They then did it again on the next touchdown to try and get it back. Those were the only two where you could really say maybe they shouldn't have gone for it, or you're just guessing whether or not they should have in that case. The rest of the way, it was always in a situation, I believe it was when they were down 5, they scored touchdowns, and obviously you go for 2 in that situation. So the remaining, what was it, 2 or 3 they missed. You can't blame Mike Tomlin for going for it. He had to. But a lot of credit to the Dallas Cowboys in this one. Steelers, this is going to be a tough loss, obviously. All right, so of course, stay tuned. Tomorrow, we will give you the preview of the Sunday night football game between the New York Giants and the Monday night football game, that is, the New York Giants and the Cincinnati Bengals. And we will see you then. I know Sunday's a little late. It's already 8 o'clock on the East Coast, but enjoy what you have left of your weekend. Be sure to stay tuned for that tomorrow, and we appreciate all subscriptions. Thank you very much.